Yeah. We back. We back. What's up? For the energy and for the effort that goes into this, show a brother some love. Like real spill. Y'all don't be understanding what goes on behind the scenes with this. Y'all got it firsthand. But this right here, it's not it's not as easy as you think it is. But shout out to everybody, man. Welcome back to another episode of Assembly Excellence. I am the host for this evening, Dip Entropy, Last of a Writer's Creed. Uh, Let me give my flowers out to my writers, my content creators, authors, singers, painters, dancers. Salute to you. Appreciate you. I hope and pray that you continue to do what you do for us, for your soul, for your edification. Don't stop. We need more of you out here. Keep doing what you got going on. Real spill. Tonight, I want to talk about spinning the block on old relationships, going back to exes. How many times have we had this discussion before? Should you do it? Shouldn't you do it? What's the pros and cons of doing it? Is there a flip side? Is it worth it? Should you just focus on you at the future and building and creating something that isn't directly linked to something that may have taken you off of course? That's what we want to get into. That's what I'm going to get into. And I'm going to be very careful with how I phrase my thoughts here because I don't want to give false hope, false information. I don't want to lie to nobody. I don't want to come from a place of being biased or making someone feel small or whatever. My point of view is probably going to be completely different than yours, and that's okay. I just want people to understand that this is not your your issue per se. I'm just sharing my thoughts on it. So um let's get into it. So let me ask a question first. I guess we can start there with a question. Why why are they an X in the first place? Let's start there. Why are they even an X at all? How did it end? What was the dynamics of the relationship? Were you both mature and it ended amicably? Was it one sided and one person had more stock in it than the other? Was this a push and pull, hot and cold relationship? Was it toxic? Let's start at the core because all of us has been in a spot where we've been with multiple people at some point. We didn't stay with everybody. A year here, 6 months here, 3 months here, 2 weeks here. None of them were permanent relationships for whatever reason. The question is why? Who was at fault? Now, me personally, and I'm taking y'all somewhere, me personally, when a relationship fails, it requires both parties. Maybe one person had more to do with it than the other, but it still requires the participation of two people for it to end. Doesn't matter how you got there, you got there. You could have ended it, right? But you didn't end it because you wanted to hold on to it. Now, you probably wanted to hold on to it longer than you should have held on to it because you knew what was going on, but your desires and your not wanting to take that loss, it kept you from looking at it like it was an opportunity to learn a lesson from it. There's a number of reasons why a person ends up being your ex. Did it end in a way where one person was just not mature enough to handle the level that you were at, man or woman, and so you had to part ways from that person because whatever they had going on was not leveling with you, and so you at that point have to make a decision. I'm working hard. I'm creating a healthy environment for myself, financially, emotionally, spiritually. I'm utilizing all of these building blocks in a responsible manner. But this person is still living with one foot in and one foot out. That's not a lifestyle that I want. It's not cohesive with me. There's things about you can like and have feelings for a person and it still not be good enough. You can be sexually attracted to the person and that doesn't matter at all. Because just because you sexually are into the person does not mean that the chemistry is going to be there forever. When it comes to handling business, one person is reckless. They don't really see the significance with paying bills on time. They don't honor saving money. They like to spend recklessly, or your personality eventually is going to bleed over and they just can't get on the same. You want to go to the park, you want to hike and you want to climb mountains and shit like that, and they want to go to the Louis Vuitton store. They want to eat out constantly at restaurants. They want to be seen all the time. That type of dynamic is not going to work out very long. However, it comes eventually. X is an X for reasons, and I want to play devil's advocate and say there's a small area where you will have that one situation where the timing was just off. The timing was just off, and you had to do what you had to do, and nobody could be mad in the situation. Y'all had to part ways and figure some stuff out. That happens. It absolutely happens. However, the timing may have been off in that particular time frame. That's solely up to them, but that's a small caveat right there. How often does that happen? Where you meet somebody, y'all in sync, y'all really like have the same core values and things of that nature, but life kind of just shoves its foot up your ass. I give you an example, right? I don't even be trying to do the interpersonal stuff, but I had met somebody one time online. She was already dealing with somebody. I mean, I don't know how serious people take online relationships, or I don't know how you perceive them. Y'all can let me know if you take them serious or not. But I met her online. We just would casually flirt, but she was already talking to somebody. But even then, I was just randomly doing my thing in other spaces as well. And because I knew she had somebody, I wasn't really sweating it like that, because why would I take her serious? She's already involved with somebody, so there's no point in me trying to pursue shit with her. Plus, we on the internet. She lives in fucking Florida. I'm here. When will I ever actually, you know? While the other woman that I was talking to, I had more of her time. I was investing more in her. But that's why I say the timing was fucked up, because the person that was living in Florida was more my speed, and we were more in sync. And I really actually I rocked with her hard, but I was invested in the other chick, and I gave all of my energy to her, and I ended up screwing myself over, because the other chick, she went on and had multiple relationships throughout the years, and I'm sitting here looking like a fool, chasing after somebody who clearly didn't have any interest. The woman in Florida, she was a great match. She was she was Hawaiian. She was Hawaiian, for God's sake. Forgive me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to your name or nothing, Lord God. But the chick from Florida, she was Hawaiian. Man, I never met a Hawaiian female before in my life. She was funny. She was on, like, if I had to put her on a scale, she was definitely a solid 7.5, man. I don't do the 9, 10 shit. She was a 7.5. And it was her personality that got her at that 0.5. But she had a dude, but we eventually started showing interest, but it was already too late. I had already, she disappeared. I went that way. 10, 12 years later, nowhere to be seen. I will never see that woman again or talk to that woman again. I don't know if she's alive. I don't know if she's married, got kids, or nothing. But that's the one time that I can think of that if it was possible, I would absolutely spin the block. But you can't change history, right? So that's just an extreme. Situations like that don't happen a lot. What you really deal with, what you really get is crazy ass exes, folks that be scorned, be bitter, be hateful. They want revenge. They want to bring as much pain and drama to you as possible because they feel a certain way about how it ended. And if we being completely frank, a lot of people don't break up amicably. It's usually followed with yelling, screaming, name calling, cursing. It's very just belligerent. I don't know too many people who can part ways with another person without there being a lot of danger involved. I don't see that. Point them out if you know them. I don't. So in those situations, I'm thinking of, like, so how do we weigh this out? Do people end up breaking up with people statistically in a negative way or in a positive way? Quantify that. What do you extrapolate from your answer? Is it more or less of either? Then you have to ask yourself, well, why did this happen? Because surely something had to happen here that was just not conducive to either or. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this spot. And then you have to decide, is it worth going back to it? Is it really worth going back to it? They used to beat your ass mentally, verbally. You couldn't trust them for shit. They're going through each other's phone. Somebody's overly flirtatious, controlling. You don't know how to work within a relationship. You don't even understand the dynamics of it. Maybe you're self sabotaging. There's always a functional proof of evidence that would provide you all the answers you need to know about why you had to part ways with the person. But for whatever reason, we end up going back. How does that really help? Does that really do anything for you? Has anything changed from then versus now. Pros and cons. Do you, let me ask another question. If the relationship ended bad for you then, do you think it's possible for you or the person that you were involved with to change anything about who they were later on when you meet them? Are you willing to risk that? Is it worth taking that chance? Some people never come back from toxic relationships. Some people bite off more than they can chew. You know it. I know it. It's not a secret. You liked her because she had some of the most exquisite paradise that you could ever be a part of. You explored every part of that nucleus. And even during your exploration, you got lost a few times. But you always enjoyed that intimate aspect of the person. But when it came to getting peace, when it came to getting affection, when it came to getting the soft subtleness, getting that rare beauty, that rare essence of a woman, you were met with something completely opposite. And if you were the woman dealing with the guy, oh, you going through his phone, you don't trust who he's talking to. You think that he's flirting with every single person that he got. Y'all be getting obsessed with penis and getting obsessed with the vagina, and then y'all don't know how to act. You don't even know how to discern between somebody with a spiritual sense of morality versus someone who is operating from fleshly needs and worldly ideologies, and you get sucked in and you get blinded by it. And then you just confuse what real relationships are supposed to reflect. I'm trying so hard to stress this out, because we're the question is, should you really necessarily spin the block on a ex or something from the past? And I would say it's subjective. You have to determine that on your own. So there's three things. Let's say two. There's three things that you got to look at: who you and that person was at that age, at that time frame. You have to decide within that who you are now versus who they are now. You got to think about what happened. You got to look at the character of the person. Is that something that they're going to put it this way, right? If you talk to someone long enough, you'll know whether or not they're eventually going to change or they're going to be in a longer season. Should I repeat that one? You will know through their character, how they walk, how they deal with the patterns of their own exploration. You will know if that person is going to be a repeat offender. They're going to be 40 days and 40 nights. In layman's terms, they're going to keep going through the same shit over and over and over again. Maybe not with you, but it's going to happen with other people because of what's inside of them. They didn't fix whatever it is that's inside of them. And because of that, you going back is not going to help. You can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You can't change somebody who has it up here that there's nothing going on, there's nothing wrong. You're wasting your breath, you're wasting your time, and all you're really doing by going backwards is killing off your future. But not necessarily killing it off, but you're definitely slowing it down. Pros and cons. You walk away completely. You say to yourself, this wasn't, this was okay while it was what it was, but how my mind is right now and the way my life is demanding me to be more of what I'm supposed to be, this cannot intertwine with that at all. It can't. It's impossible. So the best decision for me is to walk away and allow you to figure out what you got to figure out for yourself. That's the honest truth. You don't want to be selfish. You can be selfish. You can hold on to them and don't want to let them be with nobody else. But what does that do? You hold on to them. Your hope. It's almost as if, let's say you never flush your toilet. Eventually, your house is going to stink. You're going to stink. Some stuff has to go. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I'm trying to I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, Anna. I said it earlier in the stream. There's a like this small window where things just didn't align the way they were supposed to. Maybe they never were supposed to at all. but you got to enjoy what you got. That type of situation, maybe I might be like, yeah, but like you never even know. But in a scenario where y'all ended horribly, you changed, but they didn't change. And they didn't change because they don't know that they need to or they refuse to. You can't go back to that. If you did a full timeline and had a list of everything that happened within that relationship, do you honestly think that you would still? That's hold up. That's the funny thing right there. A person will literally do that. They'll go through every single thing that happened because you're trying to rationalize an excuse to still deal with the person, even though you know you shouldn't. But you'll go through the entire list. You'll scratch off the positives, and then and people will go back, and then you realize that you shouldn't have. Exes are exes for a reason, for the most part. The the majority over the minority. Let's just do it that way. The majority has to outweigh the minority because in that small pot where a person can return to somebody and it be what it was before or better. That's not very often. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. So the reason why I wanted to really break this down specifically is because I know a lot of people really be sitting there considering it, and you really want to do it, but you know you shouldn't do it. This is how you know you shouldn't do it. When your body is speaking more than your spirit is, and you're ignoring your spirit over your flesh, that's how you know you shouldn't go back. You've been in car chases, you got arrested, you done had DUIs, your family done fought them, you done fought their family, you done caught STDs, you done cried alone, I ain't spoke for months, weeks, on and off, on and off, but you'll still ignore all of that shit. You still ignore it because the sex was good, and for some odd reason, you find some type of excitement in arguing with the person because it titillates you and turns you on. It gets your adrenaline rushing, and you don't want to rebuild. How can you be a new person dealing with old things? How can you have a renewed mind and spirit intermingling with someone who is still living secular? How does that work? Does someone make sense to me? So they still out here. What desire and what they admire is this and this. What they desire is the world. What they desire is the affection, admiration of the people. What they enjoy is the indoctrinations presented to them through the lies of social media. You got to travel here. You got to do this. You have to live like this. You have to be ghetto. You have to be trifling. You have to be emotionally unavailable. You have to be spiritually sick. You got to be mentally removed from reality. They're still here. You don't even have any interest in even being in that orbit anymore because you know what it feels like to be in that orbit. It don't feel good and you don't like it. You're not comfortable anymore. You need leg room. You need space. You need to get. You can't stay closed in like that. That's why you need to go, or you can stay in that. But also, I want to point this out too. The reason why people spin the block and go back, and go back, and go back, and go back is because they're scared. You're absolutely terrified. You know, you know, there's a certain sense of responsibility. You can't come to a, a man or a woman that is not damaged, that has boundaries, that has direction. They don't have baggage. They don't have people stalking them. They don't have people following them home, blowing up their phones, using trap phones. And you can't come to somebody with that shit. You got to be clean. You got to be sharp, focused. You got to have respect for your spouse. All that shit that you was doing with the other person, you can't bring that into another environment and expect the same results or better results. Ain't nobody gonna deal with that shit. Nobody. Nobody with any sense. So because you don't want to change your bad behaviors, your attitude, you want to still walk in sin, you still want to live the way you want to live, you still want to have your foot in and out. You want to do what you want when you want, but you also want to tiptoe over here and play this up. No, it don't work that way. And so because you know how screwed up you are, you would rather punish yourself and remain in something that is comfortable because you're used to it. See, you go back to your ex, they're not going to really require much of you. They're not going to ask you to be respectful or dress appropriately. They're not going to say nothing to you about your foul language or being hood or being ghetto or being a horrible representation of the culture. They're not going to require you to read and be spiritual. They're not going to require you to be more loving, kind, gentle. Their requirements of you is very little. and that makes you comfortable. You feel good because there's no pressure on you to change. You don't have no reason to be better. You don't have no reason to change. That's why people go back. It's easier, it's more familiar. You don't have to start over. You don't have to learn a new person. You don't have to put in no groundwork. Humans who are broken, lost, and confused, they typically are the sluggish. They're always the ones at the beginning of the race, moving like a tortoise because they don't want to put in the work. Nah, you can't come to nobody that's clean and healed. They went to therapy and they exercised, they stopped drinking, they stopped smoking, they started praying more, they started reading more, they started getting fellowship in their regimen, they started saving, they started eating healthy. Everything that was programmed into them that shouldn't have been there, that shifted their lifestyle, they removed it. And that shit takes time and it takes effort and it's fucking difficult. It is absolutely one of the hardest things that a human being can do. When you're going through hell, when you've suffered, when you've crawled, scratched, and you've cried and you've bled and you've been frustrated and you've been kicked while you were down by people that claim that they were there for you and you ain't have nobody else. When you go through and you go through when nobody's around and you stay persistent and you desire to be something more, nobody's taking that away from you. Nobody is getting in the way of you being better than what you were before. You're not going to convince me otherwise. I didn't put in all of this time. People shitting on me, people lying on me, people doing all of these different things. I go through all of this emotional turmoil with just different layers of personalities between all of these intergenders. I didn't go through all of this, find a way to get out of it, to go back. What? Who really wants that? I want you to be better, but I already know that's not on the agenda here. You know it and I know it. That's why I don't have no hard feelings towards a single soul. I will leave you where you want to stay. If that's where you want to be at, go ahead, be my guest. I'm not sitting here with you. I refuse. I refuse to be stagnant. Your your view and your perception of who you think I am is not going to be an anchor to me. It's going to be an anchor to you because the person that you think I am now is going to force you to continuously treat me that way. And I will just so poetically leave you where you are and I won't shed a tear. I've already been in my dark place. I'm not there anymore. This is an entirely different version of who you thought I was. Should you go back to your ex? Absolutely not. And if we're being completely honest with each other here, you know it and I know it. You know exactly why you shouldn't. And to keep it all the way 1,000, you shouldn't even feel bad about stepping off. Why would you feel bad? Y'all left on a bad note. Y'all left in some of the most horrific spots. Like, what was pleasant? Relationships never are pleasant that break up.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm not doing it. Why would I do it? Because I'm looking at it. While I'm in it, I'm looking at you. And I'm thinking, damn, are you always going to be like this? Are you always going to think this way? Are you always this I'm not going to change for nobody shit. I'm me, and if you don't like me for me, you can go ahead and kick rocks.
Damn.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Damn.
Why would you want to stay the same way?
Damn.
You scared of change?
Damn.
Are you a robot?
Damn.
I thought humans grew.
Damn.
We get old.
Damn.
This shit is crazy to me, man. How do we rationalize? How do we rationalize going backwards for something that wasn't taking us forward? Someone give me the common sense. Someone help me understand this. You didn't respect me then. So if you didn't respect me then, why are you going to respect me now? If the relationship was meant to be something, it would have been something then. Give me mine. Just give me mine. Oh, y'all on some other shit. Give me mine.
Sensational.
People who really want a relationship to work, they make it work. You know what it takes to make something work. If the batteries go out in your remote control, what do? You make it work. You buy new batteries. Hell, I'm cheap. I'll take the batteries that died in the remote control and I will swap them and switch them out and put the other battery in the back. I will do that before I go out and buy. You make it work. Fine. So don't tell me or give me this long-winded speech about how this person was this, that, and the third. I don't want to hear you bitching and complaining about them. I don't want to hear none of that. Because then you still end up back with them. And I'm looking at you like, yeah, That says more about you than it does me. But people don't want to hear that. Don't nobody want to hear that. We be just as screwed up as them. Nobody wants to admit that they need some work done on them. You're too passive. You don't know how to say no. You don't know how to have some type of self-respect for yourself. You don't see the value in who you are. So you keep on dealing and tolerating certain individuals because of your lack of self-worth in yourself. You know damn well not a single human being on this planet should ever talk to you the way that would make you feel uncomfortable or at un no. Disrespect is not tolerable. It shouldn't be tolerated on any side of the fence. And if you allow it, that's telling them, and it's telling you subconsciously that you feel like this is what you deserve for whatever reason. Do you not value yourself? Do you not love yourself? Do you not see anything special in you? A person that is trying to make it work and that is trying to have something sustainable for a long period of time would do everything within their power to make sure that you and them are always on the same accord. One helps the other where the other lacks, and vice versa. That's how it goes. Anything else outside of that is going to be destructive and chaotic. You cannot do anything with that. It took me a long time to accept that for what it is. You're not getting anywhere with that. Your mindset has to completely change. Your point of view and how you look at people have to completely change. They're not babies. They're not innocent. They're not pure. They're not free. They're not for you. Accept it. They playing on their own terms and under their own conditions. And until you realize that you're not going to get as far as you would like to, not holding on to that. Ex to me, Ex to me is like an anchor. Imagine you being in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Them waters, they tossing you here and there. Them waters, they can easily throw you off if you're not. And that anchor is keeping you from moving. So you stuck there. And them waves just constantly crashing and crashing and crashing into you. Why would a person want the waves to continuously crash into you and toss you here and there? Why would somebody want that for you? They wouldn't. I digress. Give me one good reason. One example. I mean, I already shared one rare one. We're talking about exes now. We're not talking about people that you just happen to have a crush on and I never did anything about it. We're talking about people that you actually got involved with and it didn't go nowhere or it ended. You better off. You better off. I tell you, I block anything and anybody who is toxic. Anything that's negative, I will block you. Ex, friend, whatever. You gotta go. I don't want to hear it. I don't want it around me at all, ever. You can go ahead and miss me with that. I don't see nothing wrong with blocking a single soul. Why not? Why not? Do you have any intentions on communicating with them no more? I mean, are you going back? If you're not, then keep it pushing. The block button exists for a reason. I will most certainly block you. There was a point where I would still have you on my brain, but it ain't that deep. Not anymore. It really ain't. I sleep well, sleep comfortably, very comfortable, very. Not having dreams and nightmares. I'm good because I know who I'm dealing with. I'm gonna close out with these final thoughts. Bear with me here. Once you know a person, like really intimately know a person, there's no going back. You can't unknow what you know. You can't unhear what you heard or unsee what you saw. Once you know a person, there's no excuses for what you tolerate. There's no excuses for who you allow in and where you devote your time and energy. Once you know the person's personality, what triggers them, what makes them angry, upset, you know all of their pitfalls, you know their positives and negatives, you know if they are elevating you or dragging you. You can't blame nobody else for how far you go and how stuck you are. You are in control fully of all of that. You are better off starting over. Stop trying to meet people right away, clear the cobwebs out of your head, and get rid of all of the BS programming that was put in you. Take care of yourself and allow things to be ordained properly. No forcing anything, no chasing after anything. The only thing that you should be chasing after is God and your dignity and your salvation and your purpose. That's it. Because you already know what's up. There's nothing on the extreme. It would take a lot. It would take a lot for me to look at somebody from the past and take them serious in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I can bet you $1,000 that regret. Oh, I missed you. I want to change. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna make it. I promise you. I guarantee you that shit is only for 5 minutes. You get a day, maybe 2 days, and then they right back to who they was when you left, man or woman. Because see, you're not who you was a year ago. They think that you're always, for whatever reason, people think that you're always going to be the same person that you was. And so because of that, they think they can continuously treat you the way that you know. That's why your ass is gone. That's why I don't even want to know. We're not doing that. Absolutely not. Don't care who you are. So yeah, thank you to everybody who pulled up tonight. Shout out to Kimberly, man. Kimberly, man, she tried her best. She tried her best to get up here, and it was not happening. I don't know what was going on, but hopefully we can figure this out so that she can chime in next time. Because I'm pretty sure she had a lot that she wanted to get off, and she couldn't. Shout out to everybody watching from TikTok. I see you. Love you. You got me right. Shout out to Anna. Shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube and wherever you are right now. I thank you. I see you over there on Twitch. Salutes to you. Salutes to you, everybody over on Twitter. I see you. I appreciate you. Do me a solid. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, tap in with me. Click that button. Let the algorithm know we here. That being said, we about to call it a night. Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. This is Assembly of Excellence saying good night. And most importantly, this is Hold on. Most importantly, I need you to
cut it out.
yeah. Be easy.